I thought you were going to say I have 6 or 7 minutes. I'll try and run through these fairly quickly. These items aren't certainly the only things that are being changed in the ordinance, but they're, I guess, would represent the things that are probably the most visible. So let's start with wave banners. You probably have seen these over the last few years in many communities. I've seen these more so the case as time has gone by. Our current ordinance really does not address these per se, so one of the proposals in the new ordinance is to specifically define them, and then the principal thing is to allow 3 of them in the middle, 3 per lot as permitted, and then in addition an extra one per 200 feet of street frontage. So for example, for multi-tenant buildings, it would be up to the landowner to decide how the remainder of those signs beyond 3, those wave banners, get distributed between the tenants. And then another thing with the setbacks, we want to make sure that those are in a safe area, not crossing the sidewalks or pedestrian areas. So we've got a minimum setback 5 feet from the right of way, so they're not blocking visibility. And a lot of times you've seen these things wave and flex a little bit, so hopefully they won't dive too much into the pedestrian way. Next, this is one of the areas that Scott had mentioned that we're looking to explore some relief. Our current ordinance defines the number of signs. We've shown some pictures up here, some examples of freestanding signs. The picture in the upper left is a pylon or a pole sign. The maximum height under our current ordinance for that sign is 8 feet. For a ground sign, which is shown in the lower left, 14 feet. And then in the lower right is an example of a group sign, which is limited to the height of the building currently. And all these signs are limited to 150 square feet. So really, if you as a business wanted to go beyond that, there's not a lot of outlet in our current ordinance to allow for a change, other than to go through the variance process. And if any of you have tried that before, it's a very difficult test to meet. So in the case of getting a sign modified to expand beyond the square footage, it would be nearly impossible under our current ordinance. So this is what we're proposing to do regarding sign height now. Sign height could be increased up to 20 feet for ground signs, or up to 15% for group signs, and the sign area could be increased up to 200 square feet on properties with over 100 feet of frontage. And remember, the current ordinance is 150 square feet minimum. In addition, we'll be requiring some aesthetic treatments in association in the middle screen, for example, if a business decides to improve some streetscape amenities as that wall along the pedestrian way, or a brick base or some other decorative treatment. One other thing that's really important about this section, though, is it's not an automatic. This is proposed to be done through a conditional use permit, which is discretionary. So just because someone asks for it of the Plan Commission and Council doesn't necessarily mean it's automatically going to be granted. We had a bit of discussion internally among staff, and we didn't come to a complete consensus on what these standards should be. So we'll work through that again as we present this to the Plan Commission and Council. But at this current time, the standards are as stated there. So again, the goal really is to allow some flexibility, coupled with improving the streetscape where the signs are located. So it's not just you get a bigger sign. There's a little bit of a trade-off that we want the streetscape of Sun Prairie to look a little bit nicer as well. The next area, Scott mentioned, we were in conversation just yesterday with the Department of Transportation regarding this issue, and that is off-premise billboards. The state statutes and administrative code provide quite a laundry list of things that can and can't be done regarding billboards. Our current ordinance does not allow off-premise signs. We've got a few along 151. In addition, the one that presented on the screen, many of you are probably seen that sign has been up there for quite a while. So like I said, a current sign ordinance does not allow off-premise signs, but this sign in particular, we've had a company approach us saying, with a proposal too that may remove that sign in trade for perhaps a digital LED sign elsewhere along 151. Currently, that's considered a non-conforming sign. The sign may remain in place as long as it's maintained in good condition. So there just so happens that as part of this, while we were doing this sign ordinance, this instance or this opportunity came along. The sign company approached us. So we're in the process of working with them, not only but the Department of Transportation as well. So this is what we're proposing to do. Again, Adams Outdoor would like to replace the sign, downtown sign, and the sign, one of their signs along 151, and replace it with a digital billboard. What can't under current ordinance. Our city officials have been in talks with both Adams as well as DOT. So in order to allow that LED sign to be placed, we'd have to amend our ordinance. Again, like the area and height requirements for the other signs, for the freestanding signs, the request to do this would be run through a conditional use permit, so it's discretionary. And what we're proposing is that the size be limited to the amount of the sign area being removed, but removal of more than one sign could count toward that limit. And then there's some other standards as well, monopole design, some, again, landscaping or other decorative treatment at the base of the sign as well. And then the setback must be located no closer than the billboard is replacing, or 15 feet from the right of way. So again, that is something we're talking to DOT about. That's evolving as we speak. So the other change that Scott mentioned, a number of plan unit developments, or PD, our ordinance PD, plan unit development zoning, with especially larger buildings. Currently, our wall sign, our current ordinance limits wall signs to 2 per facade and 350 square feet. The proposed ordinance increases the maximum to allow 3 signs for buildings larger than 100 feet in length, and the wall sign area up to 100 square feet. 500 square feet. Here's